Oh, no. If I break, I'm going to break something. Okay. The arm won't, like the circle thing won't circle. It's so weird. Okay, this.
Essentially, you just need it low enough so that you can tilt it.
This. Oh, shoot. No bad words. Look at me. It took this whole thing off. It took this off.
Who says you're not tech savvy? You're so
Seriously. Oops. Oh, whoops. It's limp. Okay. Is that better? Is that good? I don't. It's always you. It's always your fault.
Is that a White Claw?
It's it's after 11. No, it's a kombucha for my digestion.
Oh,
whatever.
Yes. We should promote the hats off the top too.
Hell yeah. Okay, wait. Let me turn my phone off. So the only thing I'll stop for is if Christian gets traded.
Yes.
I will be like timeout. It'd make for great audio, maybe.
Would make for great audio. A real-time reaction. Okay, in 3, 2.
Welcome to your mom. Your mom podcast. Your mom's podcast.
This isn't any podcast. This is your mother's podcast.
My mom's podcast.
Nah, dude, she's your mom.
With Ashley Addison and Lisa McCaffrey.
Your mom is a podcast.
Shut up, dude.
Your mom.
Your mom.
Welcome back.
Ooh, we're here. And if you are listening to this on audio, this is a reminder that you need to go watch us on YouTube because we got some lids. We got some merch. We said we were going to have merch. And we did.
You asked for merch. Guess what? We got it.
Well,
we're here to
you didn't ask for merch, but we got it. And
We got I have people banging on my door for merch.
I know.
You know what I want to do, Ashley? This is my new thing. I want to make stickers that say your mom. So anytime somebody acknowledges your mom on the street to me or at a game, I want to hand them a sticker.
You can give them a sticker.
Let them put a sticker
I love that.
with our little like link and stuff. Let's do that.
Let's do that. That's our next business idea. You are a businesswoman.
I'm an entrepreneur.
Super entrepreneur.
We
forgot. Here's the thing. We already started talking about merch. And we haven't even really introduced ourselves.
Who are you?
Hello. Yes, my name is Ashley Adamson.
Emmy Award winner.
Thank you. Yeah, I am an Emmy Award winner.
Yes, you are.
Damn straight. I appreciate that very much. Yes, I'm an Emmy Award winning producer, mind you.
Oh, really?
Yeah, this was not for on air. The Emmy was for a feature that we did at Pac-12 Network on the Arizona women's basketball team. Wow. And it won an Emmy, and it was the first one I've ever won, and it felt incredible. So thanks for that.
Congrats.
Lisa.
Well deserved. I wish there was more because you deserve more.
No, I always said that I thought awards were kind of bullshit, but that was just because I had never won any. And then I won. I'm like, oh,
still think they're pretty much bullshit. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. True. Yeah. So I work at the Pac-12 Network. I've got 2 small children, 5 and 3, who have not seen me for quite a bit of time. I was having some major mom guilt this past week. I was in New York and then I was in Seattle. Yeah. And then they're fine. I got home and spent all day with them yesterday and I got my fill. I feel like I'm going to go next week and Chris has got it. He's fine.
You took your selfies playing trains with them and like,
yeah, I already posted all that. Right. Everyone knows on social media.
Knows you're a good mom. Man, so you're killing life. You got it all. You've done it all. Just Wonder Mom. As long as you
can have it all. You can.
Yeah, look at me, Emmy Award winning Mom of the Year.
Okay, but let's wait.
And I'm Lisa McCaffrey.
Yes,
I have 4 boys, all adults, and question that adult, very questionable. Ranging from ages 20. Is Max 28 or is he 27? I don't know. It's 28 or 27. I love
every time that we know.
I'm mortified. I think he's 27 and Luke's 21. No, he's 28 and Luke's 21.
Okay.
7 years. Yep. 4 boys, all in there. Max, then Christian, then Dylan and Luke. Do you want to know?
4 boys in 7 years.
Yeah. I should be sainted.
You should be sainted. There should actually be an award for that.
Actually,
honestly.
no. What we should do is have like a little fun for therapy for them. Is what we need.
Well, okay. So here's the deal. Christian McCaffrey is one of your 4 wonderful, amazing sons. And I will just start off by saying I got like the tiniest little sliver of a glimpse into what it is to be related to Christian McCaffrey or in his world, because the number of people who sent me articles, tweets, oh my God, is Christian getting traded? What's going on? It must be so hard having your son feel like he's being talked about like a piece of meat on the market. Like what is, and so all I will say is the smallest glimpse of what it's like to be related to someone who is famous and have people send you this stuff all the time. So what is it like right now? Let's start with this, to be Christian McCaffrey's mom, and then we'll kind of dive into what's going on.
Okay. Well, let me just set the scene for you. So this weekend, I am sitting at the UNC Bears football team where Ed is the head coach, Max is the offensive coordinator, and Dylan is the quarterback. And Max's girlfriend, Kathleen, is the greatest director of football operations out there. And she's the director of football operations. So there are a lot of eggs in that basket right there. So they're playing. They had a great first half and they're losing the second half, which they played a really good team. It was a good fight. Very proud of them. Anyway, it's towards the end of the game and they're going to lose. And, they're driving the ball down again. And Dylan gets sacked and is lying down and is hurt on the field. So I'm like, F, bad word, obviously. Then at the same time, I have Luke, my youngest, is playing at Florida Atlantic. I have him playing on my phone on ESPN Plus, watching that game at the same time. That is probably 2 series into that game. So I'm like head on a swivel. And then as I'm watching that, all of a sudden, just like you said, my phone blows up. Christian's getting traded. Where is he going? What's going on? Blah, blah, blah. I'm like, what? And I like my little teeny tiny body, big body, whatever, big butt body. All of a sudden like was about to explode. I'm like, I can't handle this. I didn't know if I should cry, it was the worst 5 minutes. And then ended up, guess what? We're all okay. Everybody's fine. Dylan ended up being fine. Luke finished out the game and was totally fine, whatever. And then Christian did not get traded as of yet, but basically it's in limbo. I don't know. Christian doesn't know. His agent doesn't know. It's if some team out there decides to put up a couple draft picks then and absorb his contract, he will get traded. But the funniest thing is I might know like from social media before I know from real life. And Christian also, because it's out of his hands. It's a waiting game. It's there, people I'm sure are negotiating and whatnot, or then maybe they're not. I'm saying I don't know. But freaking Adam Schefter, who I know from way back when he used to cover the Broncos, he's awesome. He was our good friend. I'm like, do you think I want to call him so badly and say, look, do you mind just tweeting this out after these games? We're in the middle of these like college games. I know it may not be important to you, but can you just wait till they're done before you send a tweet like that out? That rocks my world, buddy. Come on. So
you should call him.
I know. I almost did. I've called him before over other stupid things, and he's great sense of humor. He's a nice guy, but I'm like, dude,
he is a good guy.
Can you just kind of have a little like sympathy or understand the situation? No.
Yeah, no, that's a lot. So in one span, you've got one kid who's down on the field. You've got another kid who you said when Luke, like there was a bad play or something that happened that you worried about him, and then your phone starts blowing up, and that Christian is going to get traded. That's a hardcore.
It was a lot in like 5 minutes. Yeah, that was like a crazy day. So when it didn't start out that way, it was so nice. It was so peaceful. I went on a beautiful fall run, like leisurely run. Got ready. I had these funky pants on. I'm like, I'm not losing today in these pants. Well, guess what? I did.
Hey, you know
I will put those.
What were the pants? What were the pants?
Oh, they were these like. They looked like workout pants, but they look like patent leather navy, which I'm like, they're pretty cool. And got a couple of compliments, a little out of my box, but whatever. I rocked them. I went for it.
That's what it's about. You know what? Life is too short to be boring.
Amen. So anyway, I did.
Okay.
Whatever.
So how is Christian handling all of this?
He is handling way better than I did in those like hour. No, he's doing great. I talked to him this morning, and after I talked to him, I'm like, you know what? Everything's going to be okay. He's got a great attitude. He's like, hey, until anything happens, I'm just focused right now on getting, recovering from the game, moving on, fighting, getting ready to play Tampa Bay next week. They're 1-0 in their division still, even though they're 1-5 right now, but they're 1-0 in their division. That one was a division game that they won. So that's good. So I don't know. He has a really good attitude. That's probably why he's where he is. And God bless him. I'm proud of him. Really proud of him. And his situation is very uncharted territory. A lot of this stuff we could always pull back on from Ed's career and say, oh, well, this happened with your father or this, but he's in a very unique situation. Ed has never been in a situation like this before. Ed thought every single year he played that he was going to be cut. So we were just like so appreciative he would make a team. So every single year you're like, oh, he made the team. Yay. And that's huge. But even within the year, you can still be cut. But once you get on a team, usually you don't. But anyway, it's you just don't know. Stay tuned. Life's an adventure, huh?
Stay tuned. I know you have your phone close to you as we're recording this on a Monday. So who knows what may
exactly.
come.
Well, let's say
What do you want for him?
ticket. I have not bought my plane ticket for this weekend. So, but
so that says everything you need to know.
Come Wednesday, has he not been traded? Then I'll go ahead and take the plunge and buy that $700 ticket to Charlotte Airport, leaving at 5 a.m. on Sunday morning. Yeah.
God bless you. God bless you. What do you want for him? Where do you want him to? You want him to stay?
Oh my gosh. You know what? Who cares? Do you care? Does he care? Does it matter what I want? No, it
does matter what you want.
Yeah, exactly. Well, this is embarrassing. So I was walking back from the game to our house at the UNC game, and I called his agent, which I never normally do, but he was so nice. He picked up on one ring. Thank you. Good work. He bragged about that. It was funny. We were laughing. I'm like, no, thanks. And he just basically said, hey, I'll keep you posted if there's anything. And I'm like, okay, that's it. So very nice.
Because there is a world in which if he was going to go to another team, it would be for a team that was in contention, you would imagine, right?
Yeah, I would hope so. Yeah, if he's going to go,
if
he gets traded, I hope it's a good team that he can make a difference on and feel, like he's contributing and feel good about himself. So he's playing so well. I have to say, my gosh, he had such a great game, and that was something to toot your horn about because oh my gosh, I was really proud of him. He had a great game. Really good.
And he's had a lot of great games. And I was even feeling like when I was watching the game 2 weeks ago with my kids, which I think I sent you some of those clips of Collins and Cora watching Christian play. They thought they kept asking, where's Lisa McCaffrey? Where's Lisa McCaffrey?
I should have been out there.
Really. They could use you. I think they could
get
use
open.
Let's
go.
You still got it.
Heck yeah.
But I'm like watching it and I'm like, there's got to be some other options. Like he's taken some beatings and he is doing it. And I love watching him. He is he's tough as nails and he's so good and he deserves to be in a situation that he wants to be and that he feels good about. And I know the NFL is a business. So I'm thinking all the good vibes that he ends up right where he's supposed to be, whatever that looks like.
Yeah. That's honestly, that's how he's looking. He's like, I'm where I'm supposed to be. And who knows tomorrow what'll happen. We'll see. So
good.
Stay tuned. So all I know is if there was at one point there was the Bills were in. I was hearing that just from all the talk, and so I just thought I could jump on a table. I got some. I could do that. I thought that'd be kind of fun to jump on a table or whatnot, or I could drink wine at the 49ers.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna go ahead and tease who we've got coming up next week for our interview. Peggy Shanahan, Kyle Shanahan's mom. Mike Shanahan's wife is going to come join us, and a dear good friend of yours.
One of my best friends. I've known her, my oldest friend, not because she's old, because she's literally been my oldest friend. She's the best, and I have nothing but good to say about her. But in front of when we do it, I'm not going to have good things to say to her. No, I'm kidding. I love her. I love her, and I love her family, and I do. Just so you know, before we're
gonna get. Maybe
we have a lot
by
of
that
history
point,
together. A lot of history.
You should ask her if you should book your flight on Wednesday. Since we're recording it on Wednesday, maybe you should just ask her. Like, should I go to Charlotte or am I going to the Bay Area? What am I doing?
Which ticket? I have no idea. So stay tuned. Life's an adventure.
Life is an adventure.
It's fun.
Life is an adventure. It is fun. And you can't say everything is going to be okay. I think that's the ultimate, it's the good position to be in, because if people weren't talking about him, and we should also, for the people maybe who aren't diehard NFL fans or paying attention to what's going on in that world or care. Yeah. Which is, which if you don't care, then you probably turn them off.
Shut up about football and talk about being a mom.
Yeah. I'm sure there's plenty of those people.
We didn't tune in for this. Yeah. We don't really care about the NFL gossip. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. But it's the tea that people do care about. So, but Matt Rule, the head coach, was let go a week and a half ago. And so that is what has, there's obviously going to be some major rebuilding and restructuring and a lot of changes, which is kind of what has been the impetus for all of this.
And two of our quarterbacks are injured, and playing with I love the guy that played last week, PJ Walker. He's awesome. Such a great guy. So I was hoping the best for him, and he did well, but we couldn't pull out a win. So sort of the story of their life.
It's gonna be okay. It's gonna get better, and I hope selfishly that Christian comes to the Bay Area so that you can come visit me more often.
That would be fun. We could do some good recording sessions.
Yeah,
that's for sure.
we could get our own podcast studio. I think if we could, we get the 49ers. That's what we'll ask Peggy about that on Wednesday.
Yeah, I'll talk to her about it for sure. Book it.
Book it. So yeah, I don't know what else tell me what else is going on in your world right now, Lisa, because I feel like we're at the halfway point of the college football season. We're, a third of the way through the NFL season, and there's so much build up to the start of the season that then once you're in it, it just kind of goes like that.
Yeah.
But are you like taking care of you right now? Because that's
yeah, I had a rough weekend. I'm not going to lie to you, but I'm back to my peace.
Okay.
I have to, it's almost like Monday and Tuesdays are my weekends. Because
Yeah.
it's like almost like work on the weekends, just trying to get to games and, making sure everybody's okay and whatnot. So then all of a sudden, like Monday and Tuesday roll around. It's like, okay, I can kind of, these are my decompression days, which I think everybody needs those days. And it doesn't have to be on the weekend. You can make it whenever you want. So
whenever you want.
Monday and Tuesday are my kind of like calm
Take a
down
breath.
days. Yeah.
Good.
Deep breath,
Good.
read a book or watch one of my dumb shows. Oh, I'm going to give you, I don't know if this is advice or something I learned over the weekend. So Ed and I could never watch it alone, but we've started watching Dahmer. Have you know about Dahmer?
I know about it, but I haven't started watching.
Oh, that's right. Cause you actually work and have a life and you're a mom, but yeah, us empty nesters. And okay, just to mind you, it's not like we've been able to binge Dahmer, but we started watching it slowly, and I can't watch it alone cause it freaks me out. I watched the whole thing.
The premise is what? Go ahead and give the premise.
Well, Jeffrey Dahmer is a serial killer who killed people in Milwaukee, and I forget how many, like 17 victims. And he would eat their body parts, and he targeted mostly gay African American and some Hispanic. This one is just awful. This 14-year-old cute kid. Oh, he wasn't Hispanic. He was from Laos. He was so cute. Anyway, he killed all these people, and he'd like have their bodies in his apartment, and his apartment started to smell, and he would cook up their parts and eat them. And it was really, really hard watch, and it was so ugly and so negative. I made a vow that I'm just gonna like try to ingest more positive, like happy shows, because that like stuck with me. We finished it the night before the game. We finished it. Gosh, my phone's blowing up. Sorry, not about Christian. Okay,
go ahead.
Oh no. But we finished it the night before the weekend, Friday night, and it just kind of like was this disgusting feeling that I had. It was really hard to watch. So my new thing, I'm going to try to, if I'm whatever, I'm going to just, because I do enjoy watching TV late at night just to calm down for like an hour, for 30 minutes or so. I'm going to watch either a comedy or something, or a rom-com or something positive, because I didn't like the way I felt after watching that. So I think it's important, and I don't like to watch the news anymore. It's just, it's too ugly and depressing and divisive. So that's my new thing this week. I'm going to try to only ingest positive and happy and comedy and fun stuff. So anyway,
I love that. And I have had this feeling for a long time, because Chris, my husband, we've watched a lot of different shows, and he's a TV connoisseur. I always say to him, I'm like, I don't want to watch something that makes me feel tense, sad, angry. Like I love a good story. And of course there's some great, but I've stopped watching. Like, I don't understand people who love horror films. I don't understand how people can, and there's a lot going on in the world, to your point. And like, it does, I want to just like sit on the couch, and I want to laugh, and I want to be entertained. You want to feel something, of course, but I don't think I'm going to be watching Dahmer.
No, my advice is don't watch it. It was, it was just, and I just felt it too. And I'm like, this isn't right. It's not a good feeling. The other thing that I watch when I'm alone sometimes is a thing. It's called Modern Love. I believe it's on Apple TV, and they're little clips of like love, romance, all different forms, that people have written into the New York Times, and they've made these stories about it, and they have incredible actors and actresses. And those, I mean, you cry in some, you laugh in some, and that is, those were really fun to watch. Just, I know, like, it's just like almost like little mini rom-coms, and those are beautiful. I love those, and they're beautiful
Modern
stories.
Love column in New York Times.
Yeah.
I haven't read, but I used to read it religiously, and
it is. You did? Okay, because I never did. I didn't even know it existed.
I loved it. And someone told me that they were making it into shows, but I haven't watched any of them. So I'm going to put that on my list. I got another one for you.
Yeah. Oh, good. Okay.
No, go ahead. What were you going to say?
I was just going to say, no, all of a sudden I was watching this one episode, and Ed Sheeran pops up as one of the characters. I'm like, what? It's like pops up. He had like a little small role in one of the things, and it was fascinating. It was so good. Anyway, go ahead. What's another good one? A good positive
Dairy
one
Girls. Dairy Girls on Netflix.
I've seen it on Airplane before.
Okay. It is. We had some friends over last
Okay.
night, and she was telling us that they're actually Irish, and she was saying, she was like, it's a great fun watch. Gets emotional, I think, more towards the end, but she said it's fabulous. So,
And I've seen
is Christian still a Panther?
No, but I just got a weird text, a big OMG text, but it was about something else. So sorry, a little distracted.
Pins and needles.
Thus, I'm gonna go
Oh,
immerse
God.
myself in Derby Girls after this.
Derby Girls, Dairy Girls, whatever.
Dairy Girls, whatever. I don't know.
Oh God. All right. Well, not to sidetrack too much, but I do. It's about what you put. It's about what you take in. We talk about what you eat all the time,
and you can control that. Yeah, what you eat, what you watch. That can
who you
help
talk to. There's it's just
keep
make
the good
sure that
positive
you're surrounding
people
yourself
that
with the good
encourage you in
positive.
your life, and
Amen.
red flags for the people that are like jealous or those things. Just red flags those. Keep, and it's okay for people to mess up, but just be aware of the chronic complainers and the negativity and stuff. And people need to complain some. You have to complain some because Lord knows I do it. But but still, if it's a chronic thing and it's constant, that's tough. It's tough to be around.
Someone told me the other day, friends weren't made to be had for the entirety of your life. And I thought about that, and I thought, you know what? Because there are people, and old friends are like friends that you've had for forever,
like Peggy,
are
in my
so
life.
special. Like Peggy, shout out to like one of my dearest, oldest friends, Catherine. I met her when I was in 8th grade as the new girl in Denver, and she took me under her wing, and we've been dear friends. And your relationship goes through all these different points, and you lose touch, and then sometimes you're close and then sometimes you're not, but there are those things for old friends. But I think about it, and there are people in your life, and a lot of times you meet them through work or because of whatever situation, and it's important to understand, like, you don't need to be friends with everyone for your entire life. That's when you kind of understand that.
I wish someone told me that in my 20s.
Yeah, because you feel like being a good friend is sticking through no matter what. And sometimes it's like, you know what? Like,
you got to cut your losses. Yeah.
And it's okay. And
that's okay. Exactly. And maybe it's what's best for them too. And that's all right.
Exactly.
So.
Exactly.
No, I wish someone had told me that earlier, but that's really good advice. Love it.
Yeah.
So with that, I just got to tell you, I'm breaking up. We're done. No, I'm kidding.
If you ever dump me, I hope you do it on the podcast, because then at least we'll get like some good traction.
Keep up with you and your Emmys and your red carpets. Like, oh my gosh. And I'm sitting in football games crying in my Coke, like, oh, this is so sad.
No, stop. Oh yeah.
Never.
You know what though, Lisa, I feel very supported and loved and celebrated by you, and I really appreciate that, and that's what good friends do. So
you're so sweet, and I feel the same with you. You're the best. You're an amazing listener. I know why you won an Emmy, and you're where you are in your career. I get it. I've had people say that, like, oh my gosh, Ashley is so good. She's so. You ask questions, but they're out of care and concern, and trying to learn something yourself, and maybe you can help somebody. I don't know. You do it right. You do a great job. So I appreciate you.
I appreciate you too. Okay, good. I'm so glad that we're not breaking up on this episode. We're only 13 episodes in. I would have been so sad if we.
I would never.
Not yet.
Never. I'm a bad breaker upper. I don't know how to do it right.
Yeah. Same. By the way, I get to come see you in a week.
Oh my gosh, you don't even know. I'm like starting to clean the house. I want to make it
don't
perfect.
Clean the house.
I'm so excited.
Yeah. Whose room do I get to stay in this time?
You can wherever you want. I don't even care. I'm like, you pick sleep a different room every night.
Was it Dylan's room that I slept in last time?
I think you slept in. I don't even know, because every room was perfectly neat. I don't even know which room you slept in. Probably Dylan's.
Everything was perfect. Yes, everything was perfect. Okay, good. All right.
That's gonna be so fun.
So we've got that coming up. I'm going to be in Colorado in a couple of weeks.
We're going to have so much
maybe
fun.
Some Halloween episode, we might go see Plumber's Mushroom Farm. That's on the table. So
maybe hook up with Kate and Jen.
Kate and Jen McBride. Yes, they did invite us. They said any Thursday that we're in town, the drag queen bingo.
That is a bucket list thing. If I've ever
that is a bucket list thing. So maybe that's what we do that Thursday night. We'll figure it out. But yes, to loop back real quick, and I know that this is like taking a hard right turn from where we started this podcast, and I know every episode you're supposed to have certain like themes and talking points and all the rest, which we're horrible at. So I apologize to our listeners, because I wouldn't say like being buttoned up and having an outline of things that we're going to talk about is our strength, but maybe it is. Maybe that is our strength.
But that's okay. It's a podcast.
Yeah.
You're supposed to communicate and talk, and wherever the conversation goes, and that's what's meant to be heard that day. How about that?
That's why we make great podcast partners, because we see that the same way.
Exactly.
But we mentioned we are going to have Becky Shanahan on.
Yes.
And it is really interesting because, and I'll just, as kind of the backstory, I will share that I called you before we recorded this just to talk about, okay, what are some of the things we do want to chat about today? And I said, I don't know if this is something that you'd be willing or want to talk about, but I was just realized on Saturday, October 15th, was World Pregnancy and Infant Loss Remembrance Day. And I think that as we talk about, we joked about, people are tuning in to not hear about football. They want to hear about mom stuff. To me, that is a topic that in the past, no one has talked about. And I think there's been an awakening within the last, I'd say probably 20 years or so, but especially recently, where people are opening up and talking about and wanting to, and in my opinion, should be something that we talk about. And women don't talk about their bodies, right? Like, I think that's one thing that there's a lot of discomfort around what we do and don't share. And this is at the heart of that. So when I called you this morning to talk about this, you said it's amazing that you brought this up because I was just thinking about this weekend. So before I go any further, can you kind of just share how that came about?
Yeah, it's so weird that you're saying that. So, we have our interview with Peggy Shanahan coming up on this week. And I was thinking of like our history together. We're pulling way back from when Ed played on the 49ers the one year, and then Mike brought him here to the Broncos. And I've just known them for, how old is Max? 28 for 28 years and been a friend. And like you said, certain times we're really close. Other times we just don't talk as much, just we're all different, but we're always keeping in touch. She's the one person we've always kept in touch. And she's the most like loyal person in the world. But anyway, after I had Christian, soon after I got pregnant, and basically at 12 weeks, I miscarried. And it was devastating at the time. And to be honest, like, of course, in my own little world, I thought I was the only one that's ever had this happen, because you're like, oh my gosh. And because Ed was in the public eye at the time, a lot of people knew that I was pregnant, and everyone's like, oh, another boy, whatever. And, but anyway, I miscarried, and it was like, oh my gosh, I was embarrassed. I was like, what, did I do something wrong? And I just remember Peggy, of all people, was like my rock. She was so wonderful and so caring and said the right things. And I remember in the Martha Thomas interview, she just said, I wish people would just say something, whether it be like, I don't know what to say or something. And I just feel like and mostly men, they don't know how to act. They don't know what to say. And I get it. It's awkward, but Peggy was awesome. She embraced me, and she just was nice. She was like tender. I think there's like, she was just, it's like she felt bad and it was a tender. And oh my gosh, I got over it. It was early on in the pregnancy. And another thing regarding this whole thing is, we nowadays in our modern society, we have such benefits from science. We know when we're pregnant, like almost at conception, like we can take a test and so early. And I believe that some of those, way in the olden days, people probably miscarried a lot more and just didn't know it was a miscarriage. But now we just know so early. So anyway, but no, I was almost at 12 weeks. So it was fine. But at the time I feel like I'm the only one, and you're embarrassed and you're sad, and it was a loss. And Ed was in the middle of the season. So, he was distracted. He was as good as he could have been. But I just remember Peggy was just a really, really nice person, and just really helped me, work through it or whatever. But I got over it, pretty quickly. You just kind of move on, and you keep fighting and whatever. And then ended up having 2 others after that, and everything was fine. But I do believe a lot of women have miscarriage and they don't talk about it. And it's very common. And it's like a little bit of a loss, because you get filled with all those hormones and you get excited and you plan. And then all of a sudden you're like, wait, what, what's going on? And it's just like kind of shocking and sad, and just something that I don't know. I wish there was a way I wish people would talk about it more, because I think it would be healthier to get it out.
Did you talk about it much? I mean, obviously you mentioned Peggy, and I love the word that you used, tender, that she was, because that's such a, like, I just think that sums up somebody showing up for you in a really meaningful way. But what did you talk about it much with friends or family, or was it mostly?
Not really. No, like, no, not a ton. I just remember, it was so long ago, I have to be honest. I just remember being like sad and devastated, and like I said, also embarrassed, and also blaming myself. Like, did I do something wrong, and all this. And Peggy we called a couple times, and I remember there was a big party, and she was like, somebody let me wear a really nice coat that matched my dress. And it was just silly. And after, people just kind of moved on. And I'll be honest, the best thing that happened to me is I had the 2 other kids. So I was so busy with them that it just kind of helped me move on. But no, I didn't talk about it a lot, but the few people I did talk about it with, I swear to you, probably 80% of them, either if they didn't have a miscarriage, they knew somebody that did. Because and that's when I'm like, oh, wow, seems like it might be even more normal than like the more the norm than the outlying thing. So I just felt like there were more people that have had experiences like that. Because every time I've ever mentioned it, I swear to you, somebody in the room has said, oh, me too. Or, and I always thought too, like I always thought when that happened to me, I thought, oh, well, I have my two. I need to be appreciative and not be, I can't be sad. Like I have Max and Christian and they're so wonderful and healthy and I need to appreciate that. And I always thought, oh, it would be really hard to have that if it was your first child. That would be even harder. And so those women, I would love somebody to like grab them and give them a hug and be like, no, it's okay. You can keep trying. And, and sometimes it's just a normal cycle. I wish that we could get a doctor on to talk about it. Cause I do believe that
we
it
should
happens more often than not.
And I think we should, Lisa. And I think that was something that I was thinking about. I mean, I was looking at the numbers. So 1 in 4 women will lose a baby during pregnancy, delivery, or infancy. Like think about that. 1 in 4 women.
Wow.
And as I was reading, because I kind of wanted to get a sense of exactly what some of the latest data is. And then the WHO, they put out this, almost 1 in 10 OBs will be so devastated by a stillbirth that they will consider a career change. Wow. And that to me, when you talk about what it is like to go through this and to be a doctor in that world and care, it's the loss of a child, right? It's as a mom, that's the thing that keeps you up at night every way. And there's all this different language about it. And I think that's another part of it. I was talking to a friend of mine, a very good friend of mine who just went through this. She just had a miscarriage in June and it was her first pregnancy. Oh. And I talked with her about this. Actually, genuinely wanted to get some thoughts from her before we dove into this topic. And she said a lot of it is that we don't have the verbiage around it because we aren't comfortable talking about women's bodies and all these things. So she said, I think a lot of it is understanding the language. Yeah. And she said that the reason that people don't, because the whole thing is, well, you're not supposed to tell anybody in your first 12 weeks because you want to make sure that it's
viable.
Exactly. Yeah. And miscarriages go down after 12 weeks. They obviously still certainly happen. But the numbers are that they go down. And the reason, and she said to me, she goes, the reason that you do that is because you don't want to have to disappoint people. And the fewer people that you tell and the more you internalize it. And she said, in a way, it's weird because you're going to be rewarded for that because then you aren't going to have to go and tell everyone. So she had told me very early on, and I think she had told her mom and dad, and that was about it. And when she told me that she miscarried, I still have like guilt about, I was traveling and we texted, but I didn't actually talk to her on the phone until like a week later. And it's still something that I feel awful for because here's the deal. The reality is exactly what Martha Thomas said. When bad things happen, when tragedy happens, a loss, people don't know what to say. Like we don't know what to say. And so oftentimes you don't say anything or you say, Right. And so I asked her, I said, so what would be your advice for someone who is a friend or a partner of someone who has had a loss like this? And she basically said, if you don't know what to say, like tell them that. And
that's exactly what Martha said. Remember? That's what Martha said. Yeah,
exactly. And the honesty, it can be validating that you respect that, like that there's not something that's going to say that's going to fix it. Yeah. And she said, but I also have a PSA is that she said, do not tell the story. Like if someone shares this with you, do not tell the story of someone else who had a miscarriage who then had a baby, because she said, it's just not like in that moment when she was going through this and the few people that she told, she goes, it wasn't helpful to me. And so it is more about, our initial reaction is to problem solve. Like that's what we all want to do.
Of course, especially men. Men love, like whenever I'm sad or something, Ed just wants to fix it. I'm like, no, sometimes I need you to just listen to me.
Just
like
be there.
Just be there.
Yes.
Yeah. Just be.
And that's exactly what
tenderness,
my friend said.
that word tender, I swear is like my word of the year.
It's like just. It is. I love it. It's a wonderful world because it is. It's like, it's that holding of
like
someone,
the caring, actually caring about someone. Yeah.
And nice. So I think that's because we all want people to feel better. So we give advice. We, try and come up with other stories and say, oh, but look at this person. Yeah. And she said, just pause and listen. And just all people need is like hugs, thoughtful ears. And like, is there anything I can do for you to feel better in this moment? And she said, and also acknowledging like how hard it was to share that. So like thanking them for thank you for sharing that with me because the world does not make it easy for women to talk about what's going on with their bodies. And, she said, when a friend or someone that you love tells you something like this, like they don't want your sadness, which of course you're going to feel sad.
Right.
But she said, my recommendation is just to have a good line or a thought of when someone tells you that whether it's they lose a parent or lose whatever it may be, that when tragedy happens, listen first, and then just have that tenderness, to your point, of how you're going to go about showing up for them, because that's what it's all about, is showing up for them.
Right. Right.
And then in terms of advice for someone who is actually going through this, and I'm sure there are many women, I mean, everyone listening to this podcast has probably either had a miscarriage, is going to have a miscarriage, knows someone who does, or is with somebody who does or who has. And I think the biggest thing, and I'd ask for you to, any other thoughts that you have to layer on top of this, but I asked my friend, I said, for advice for someone who's going through this. And she said, know that you're going to feel like you are disappointing people and that there's this shame and disappointment that comes with it. But once you heal, you realize that that's not true. And that your thoughts, like, you have to separate them from reality. And her advice was just do things that you care about, that you will, and that's what's going to allow you, no matter what it is, to be able to move on from a great loss. Like focusing your energy on things you can control, what is good for you, think about that and go do it. Because that's one of the biggest things, is that you have all of this shame and disappointment and you feel like all these other people are going to be disappointed. And she said, and ultimately just, you need to get, and she said, I got a lot of therapy. Like I talked through, it was a really hard, devastating thing.
And it's good to talk about, which we don't do enough.
Yes.
That's one thing that helps too, especially, and I remember talking to somebody being surprised that they had a very similar situation, and it kind of helped in a way too, that we both could bounce it off each other. And I thought that was a good healing thing, and she's fine. She was okay. It's going to be okay. You'll be okay.
Yes. So. Yeah. And I mean, and the other thing too, like DNC,
I
hear that. I've heard that term.
Right. What is
People
exactly?
know what it is,
DNC,
but like I had to literally look up what it's a dilation and curettage procedure is what that stands for. DNC.
Right. They basically scrape out your uterus.
They scrape your cervix, right? Or your
uterus out.
And it is not only a horribly emotional thing to go through, but physically, from again what I understand, is incredibly painful as well.
Yeah. Well, I'll be honest. I remember it wasn't that painful. I might have been drugged up a little bit. I don't know. It wasn't too bad, but it was just like, that was sad. That was like very sad to do that. I remember going through that. And you're like, and you walk out, oh gosh. Yeah. And you walk out of the room and you're like not pregnant anymore. And you're, like you said, you're embarrassed, you're letting people down. And, like I said, I felt guilty. Like I said, what did I do wrong? How did this happen? So anyway, but it's in a DNC.
She did the same thing. She said, you're alone. It's you and your body.
Exactly.
Like all of a sudden, and that's so real, because no matter how early you are in the pregnancy, there is a connection that you feel.
Right.
Once
of course.
You're pregnant, it is so real. So I just want to say, I appreciate you for sharing that and being open about it. And you've seen the movement where there are more people in the public eye who have come out and talked about it.
Yeah, which I think is good and healthy, and
it is good.
Makes people makes it be able to cope easier, knowing somebody else has gone through it and they're okay. And
the hardest thing to do is to go through it alone. Anything, right? Is just when you feel like you're alone.
When you're alone,
So,
yes,
I know. So I appreciate you sharing that. And I remember again, I have not had a miscarriage, but I will say that when I was pregnant for the first time, I remember I got like the positive test, and we had tried for probably, 8 or 9 months. So it had felt like, in the grand scheme of things, that's not a long time, but it had felt like a long time. And it also, for anyone out there who's trying to get pregnant, I will tell you, when you are trying, everyone else around you, I swear to God, is pregnant. Like you just can't believe how many people are announcing it. And like, you feel like the entire world is pregnant.
Right.
And you're happy for them every time you hear it. But there is, I remember feeling like, wow, because you don't know if it's going to happen for you. I think that's the reality of it. You know that it's not guaranteed that you're just going to be able to get pregnant.
And another thing I've noticed in this world, like a lot of women are on birth control. So you prevent pregnancy for so long, and then all of a sudden you're like, okay, I'm ready to have a baby. And most people think, okay, I'm off the pill. I'm going to get pregnant. Yeah. And it usually takes a while, especially for your body to sort out all those, the pill hormones and all that stuff before it's acclimated and back on your own cycle and then it makes it easier to get pregnant. But it takes a little while to get that out of your system in general, before you get pregnant. So I know, like I remember my friends, we got married young, had kids pretty young, but a lot of my friends, stayed on the pill after college for years. And then they were like, freaking out that they weren't getting pregnant right away. And I was like, wait a minute, calm down. You guys have made your body think, trick itself that it was pregnant for all this time. Give it a break, like relax, like let's, keep trying, keep at it, just be normal and healthy and it'll come. So, and most of them it did. So, which is nice.
Yeah, but it is a journey. And I think that it is one of the most painful when you talk about the different topics we should have and guests that we should have. This is another one I'd love to dive into, because I think in the world of IVF and all these different infertility treatments that are now available, like it is all, I wouldn't say, I'm not going to say it's easier to get pregnant, but there are different ways that because of science that we have. And I fully support, and I love a lot of tech companies have started to do this, paying for women to freeze their eggs. And I think there's all these different advancements that we've made, right? Like if you're not ready to be a mom yet, right this second. I had a friend of mine at work ask me today, or on Saturday, excuse me, like in the middle of a game, how do you do this? How do you have kids and work and travel like you do? And we kind of got into this deep conversation where I'm like, I actually need to watch Washington and Arizona. We have to talk about this, but we went down this whole thing, and I just said, here's the thing. You're never ready. Like, I don't think anyone's ever ready to be a mom. You're just not. And
nobody can tell you.
There's never going to be a good time.
Right. There's never, your life's never going to be so perfect that, okay, now I'm ready. No, it's just, and you have to be okay with that. It's messy, but it's a beautiful mess.
Yes. And you'll figure it out, and you just figure it out. And that's what I told her. And I said, I think the biggest thing is just to know is that, and also it's not like you can wait and then think that you can just snap your fingers and have a kid.
Yeah.
Like
it's its own time. It's meant when
Yeah.
it's meant to be. There's a reason for everything. And we may not know what that reason is, but in due time, it'll reveal itself. So,
and then you think about too, I mean, so if you don't have that miscarriage, or if that pregnancy had stayed after Christian, then there's no Dylan.
Exactly. Right. Oh gosh. Exactly.
You know?
Well, no. And then on a kind of a lighter note about it, going back to the Peggy thing, she wasn't happy that I miscarried by any means. But I remember when I first got pregnant, she did the math and she's like, oh, no, you can't have that baby during the season. Because then Ed, if that happens on a game day and Ed has to make that decision, no, you can't do that. No, she was so mad at me back then. I was laughing. I'm like, well, your wish came true. Thanks a lot.
That's why she then had to be so tender. And that was why, that's the real reason why she had to show up, because she felt so bad about that.
So funny. Yeah. Because that would have been the first kid I would have had during the season, because most of them were spring babies, as most football players have spring babies.
Yeah. Wow. All those things that you don't think about. But there's never a good time to get pregnant and have a child but is it? No, or you could look at it the other way. It's always that
when it happens is the way when it's meant to be.
Supposed to happen.
Yeah. It's the perfect time. Yep.
Amen. I couldn't agree more. And I remember just the last story, and then we can, I think put a bow on this, because there is so much more that we could talk about. And I'd love feedback for people who are listening, like the topics that you want us to talk about, people that you want us to go talk to, whether it's doctors or people who have been through this or whatever it may be. Please let us know. Shoot us a line, email yourmompodcast@gmail.com, or hit us up on Twitter, however you want to do it. Leave a comment on the podcast. We'd love
slide
to
into Ashley's DMs, right?
Slide right into my DMs.
Send her a snap crack or something. What is that? TikTok her.
Send me a snap crack. I haven't got one of those in a while. But the story that I was going to tell is that when I first got pregnant with Collins, I remember like seeing, it had been a journey to get there. And then I remember seeing the pregnancy test and feeling like, oh I didn't believe it. I mean, I was so happy, but I took like 3 more because you just don't really believe it.
Right.
And then I remember feeling, and Chris was so excited, and it was such a beautiful moment, but I immediately went to that place of, I want to temper my excitement, because we don't, I don't want to get too all the way down the rabbit hole and not know, like, let's wait till we see the heartbeat. Let's wait till we go to the 12-week appointment. Like first it's the 8-week, then the 12-week. And Chris, in all of his infinite wisdom, just stopped me, and he looked at me and he said, don't let the fear of what could happen take away from the joy of this moment, because no matter how much you temper your excitement, it's not going to assuage the pain from if it ends up that the pregnancy, if you end up having a miscarriage, like that's going to hurt no matter how much, nothing's going to change.
Wow.
So
that's
don't
really
let the
good
joy of
advice
this
for watching a football game too. It's like,
I
try to be so even
yes.
keel because it's such a high and low. But I think I want to do this podcast with Chris because he's the wisest person I know. His last comment stuck with me was, wow, I think moms are too hard on themselves. And then this, oh my gosh, he's like our soothsayer. He's like the wise man. Is he like in the back, like brewing like a concoction or like something and serving the kids? It's like things develop their brains perfectly. Oh my gosh, I love him.
He is. I do too. And it's interesting because he, I always feel like I'm the one that's trying to give all the good advice and have these perspectives. And he said it in a way that he was like, and he said it so quickly and perfectly. He was like, don't let the fear like take away the joy of this moment. Like this is a so joyful moment. And so
celebrate that.
I would give that advice to anyone out there who,
so good.
No matter what you've been through. And I get it, especially if you had a miscarriage, I'm sure it's harder to initially, but just don't let the fear of what's to come take away from the joy.
Don't let fear win out. Moment. Yeah. Celebrate. Yeah, absolutely. Exactly. Gosh. Totally. Yeah. Life's too short to not celebrate and to be boring. Amen. Right.
And to be boring.
That's why I wore my black.
Life is too
black patent leather pants.
No,
navy. Sorry, they were navy.
I can't wait to see those. And by the way, last thing on Chris, and this goes back to our merch. So we're going to get these hats we're trying to figure out exactly how we're going to sell these online, but it's soon. I got a whole big box of them right here in my room and we're going to order more. We're going to get stickers. We're going to get, I want
beanies too to run into my little run.
Beanies.
It's getting colder here.
So Chris has one, there's a camo one. Chris has one. And so he's been wearing one that's a camo hat. And I don't think I've ever said what he does for work. He works for Homeland Security Investigation. So he is a federal agent. I think that's okay that
Are you allowed to say that?
I just did. So
it's out there.
I'll find out if not. When you guys never see or hear from me again, when the podcast just goes away completely, then you'll know that I shouldn't have said this. But he did a whole brief. He runs their special response team, and he said he was briefing his guys the other day before they did some op, and he said he like forgot that he had the hat on.
Oh, how fun!
And so he's like doing this whole big time and he's got a hat that says your mom. And
they're like, what?
I just want to say, Chris, thank you for the support. And I think it'll be really great when more people are wearing your mom hats.
Right.
I wore it in the airport and I couldn't, people kept looking at me and kind of smiling at me. And I forgot I had it on. And then finally, when I got to the hotel, I was like, oh yeah, I've been wearing your mom hat.
Could you wear it on the air? You got to wear it on the air.
I think I could.
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely. I think I could.
Well, I passed it out to Christian and his buddies, so we'll see.
Okay, good. So hopefully they'll rock it too.
That'd be awesome.
When Christian, when he's having his press conference about where he's going, I hope he's wearing your
for
mom
the
hat.
2 people that are still watching the poor Panthers right now. So
I
maybe
love
their
the Panthers
moms are
and
not
I'm watching
them.
Oh, okay. Well, Lisa, keep us posted.
Oh, I will. Yeah.
And if we have to do an emergency podcast, let us know. Yep. And it might be really fun. Again, we're going to talk to Peggy this week, and that episode will drop next Tuesday. But I think we're going to have some fun with her. And I know that it is a crazy time, but whatever is supposed to happen will happen. And I hope that's him coming to the Bay Area so that I can hang out with you guys more.
Do you know how much fun we'd have? Are you kidding me?
Oh, you could just move here.
For real. It'd be so fun. That's a dream.
We could get an apartment together. I think Chris would be okay with that.
Chris is fine. Or maybe me and Chris, because he's so wise. I just want to soak up his
you and Chris. Well, we have said that the podcast.
That's perfectly normal.
Need totally normal.
Yeah,
I think it's do it for the show.
It's for the podcast, Ed. Gosh.
God, Ed,
stop.
Relax over
Seriously.
there. You are he's so conventional, Ed.
I know. Seriously, he's so close-minded.
We did say that we needed a scandal though to really get our numbers up on the podcast. Right. So,
ding, ding, ding.
I'm just saying, if you and Chris want to get if Christian gets traded to the Niners and you and Chris want to move in together, I will be for it. That's I just put that on record. So
okay, good.
I'm going to put that out in the universe.
Yeah, I'm texting Peggy right now.
Make it happen, Peggy. Thank you to our listeners. We appreciate you all so much. And I got to say thank you to Denise Rapino. I loved our conversation with her last week. If you haven't had a chance to go listen to it, please do. She is remarkable. I've heard from so many people who really enjoyed it and who I think have a different feeling about Megan Rapino after hearing a conversation. There were some people who have had different feelings about her kneeling and what it represents, and some people who see the world differently than she does. And I've heard from some of those people who have said it really helped to hear from her mom because they saw her in a new light.
I've had a lot of that reaction. Yeah. And they saw her in a new light, and her warmth and love and genuine love for her family just came out in that interview. And she was a great interviewee.
She was awesome.
Yeah.
She was amazing. And I think if we could all I texted her to this too. I said, if we could just get a bunch of like great moms in a room, I think we could solve like 95% of the world's problems.
100%.
I'm pretty sure.
99% of the problems would be solved 100% of the time if it was all moms in a room.
Yeah. As long as we didn't have to do any math.
We're very resourceful.
Super.
Not good with the numbers, but we're very resourceful.
Mm-hmm. We're good with problem solving.
I think
all right. We love you. Thank you for listening as always. Please rate, review, subscribe,
which I know how to do now.
Now Lisa subscribed.
Like,
share us with a friend.
Go on the TikTok and tell your friends about us and their friends and their moms.
Send your snap cracks
to your mom and their moms and their mom's friends.
And most importantly, if you still can, go call your mom.
Call your mom
right now. Just text her, call her, tell her you love her.
Love it.
I love you, Lisa.
I love you too, Ashley. Have a great day.
I'll talk to you on Wednesday.
Peace. Bye.